What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Move Rewind, and today I'm going to be talking about whether the return of Waterloo Road has actually been a good thing. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, Waterloo Road was a school-based drama created by the BBC, and it originally aired for 10 seasons between 2006 and 2015. Now, my experiences with Waterloo Road started in 2012. I still remember the first episode I ever saw, Series 8, Episode 6. It was on TV, I had a free hour, so I watched it, and I was automatically drawn in because it was a school-based drama. I was 12 years old at the time, slap bang in the middle of high school. So I could 100% relate to this show. And I was an avid fan. I watched it until it ended in 2015. And then I went back and bought the other 7 series, which I hadn't seen, and I became even more of a fan. Waterloo Road always struck me as a drama series, but with a lot of fun and goofiness put into it for good measure. It weren't exactly the most dramatic programme in the world, but the reason Waterloo Road worked was for a couple of reasons. 1, relatability, especially to young adults. 2, the characters. And 3, and probably one of the most underrated reasons, humour. Waterloo Road was a very funny show, and it completely captured the atmosphere of high school, or at least that's what I thought when I used to watch it. So I was very shocked to learn that Waterloo Road would be coming back for a revived series, because it had been 7 years since the cancellation, and I just assumed, Waterloo Road had had a good 9 years, but the BBC were never going to bring it back. I mean, many of you probably won't know, but the final series of Waterloo Road in 2015 had viewing figures of under 1 million viewers, and it had even suffered a demotion. Instead of being broadcast on BBC One, it was being broadcast on BBC Three. So it's fair to say the BBC were kind of done with Waterloo Road at that time. So I was very shocked to learn that the BBC had decided to revive the show. But nonetheless, I was excited because it's a show I have fond memories of, and I thought, you know what, given COVID and all of the issues which high school students have to go through now, maybe they could make it a success. So I tuned in on the 3rd of January 2023 to sit down and watch the very first episode of Waterloo Road Series 11. And I have mixed feelings about it. So I sat down to watch the first episode of Waterloo Road's 11th series, and it's fair to say once it ended, I was disappointed. Being a fan of classic Waterloo Road, I tuned in thinking that this was going to be the exact same show because it was being marketed as Waterloo Road Series 11. When in reality, this isn't Series 11. This is Waterloo Road Reboot Series 1 with a couple of old characters thrown in for nostalgia purposes. Now, 3 original characters returned to this series. We have Kim Campbell, who's now the head teacher, and former pupils Dante Charles and Chloe Granger, who are parents to a daughter, Izzy Charles. So you do have old characters in this series. And then, of course, there's a massive shock because by the end of the first episode, Chloe is killed off. Which was a massive shock, and I have to admit, it takes a backbone for a new show to kill off a fan favourite character in the first episode. But I can understand why there was a backlash against this decision. For my part, the actress who portrayed Chloe was involved in the marketing for this series because you're trying to encourage old viewers to return to watch it, and Dante and Chloe were a very popular couple in the original series. So killing Chloe off in the opening episode, yeah, that's not going to go down well. If it was me, I would have had Chloe killed off in the finale of Series 11 because I think that would have been a good cliffhanger. Plus, we would have had time to get to know Dante and Chloe again, because let's face it, Dante and Chloe left Waterloo Road over a decade ago. So new viewers aren't going to feel the emotional attachment to these characters as old viewers are. And that's one of the problems with this series of Waterloo Road. I can't really tell who it's being made for, because the first 2 episodes are heavy on the nostalgia. You know, we see the return of Janice at Chloe's funeral. You have references to Grantley Budgeon. So there's a lot of nostalgia there to try and make people think, oh, this is the same show, you know, it's the same show. But then the rest of the series feels completely separated from that. There's hardly any references to the old Waterloo Road, which is fine, but it should have been marketed as a complete reboot of the show. And I think that's the problem. I feel like this is a series which wants to be its own thing and just tell its own unique story, but it keeps making these stupid references for nostalgia reasons to encourage old viewers back. So the idea of this series from the off is a bit of a mess. For me, the most important reason which made the original Waterloo Road series successful were likeable characters. The original run had a lot of memorable characters, both teachers and pupils, and these people felt like they would exist in any school. You know, you had grumpy cynics like Grantley Budgeon, you had inspiring head teachers like Michael Byrne. In this new series, the characters are a little underdeveloped. For the first couple of episodes, I don't really know who any of these characters are, and some of the students I still can't remember their name, which is usually a sign that they're not memorable characters. I have to say, as the series progresses, these characters do get better, especially the teachers. From episode 4, the teachers go under quite a lot of development, so they at least, you know, stick out in your mind. I just wish that they had developed these characters more in the early episodes. If you look at Waterloo Road Series 1, Episode 1, you know by the end of the first episode who all these characters are and what they think of working at Waterloo Road. With Series 11, it takes the majority of the series until I feel that, which is a disappointment. For me, the best characters are the returning ones, so Kim Campbell and Dante Charles. They are the best characters, and I think that's because not only are Angela Griffiths and Adam Thomas really great actors, but we already know who these characters are, so they don't really need to be introduced and developed as much as the new characters. Plus, they have decent storylines. For me, the best storyline in this series, while I didn't agree with Chloe being killed off, is Dante having to cope after her death. I think it's done very well, and Adam Thomas deserves a lot of credit for that. But for the rest of the characters, I can see glimpses of great characters there. I just think the writers need to develop them a bit more. One of the main things which has really stood out for me with Series 11 is how dramatic it is. Now, the original series of Waterloo Road had very dramatic and heartbreaking moments. You know, Sam Kelly's brain tumour storyline, Maxine being shot by her ex-boyfriend. So there was a lot of dramatic moments in Waterloo Road which really tugged at your heartstrings. But there was also a lot of comedy used, because school isn't all doom and gloom. You have a lot of fun at school. And the original series really captured that atmosphere of fun and enjoyment. You didn't have to be serious all the time. You could be immature. With this new series, I think it's too serious for its own good. It really does feel like a high-budget drama which is trying to be serious and realistic all the time. But with that, you risk creating a very depressing programme to watch. There are not many happy moments in this new series. There's a lot of crying, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of depression, but there's not a lot of fun. And I think that this is a problem which they need to work on going forward. Now, the original series of Waterloo Road had characters such as Steph Haydock, Grantley Budgeon. Now, while they did have emotional storylines, they were mostly comedic characters, but it worked because you would be sitting there with a big smile on your face throughout. With this new series, most of the characters have very depressing backstories, and they don't smile or laugh a lot. They're serious quite a lot of the time. Now, I haven't been at school for a couple of years, but I doubt it's as depressing as this series is trying to make it seem. So I would say, moving forward, Waterloo Road, try and lighten things up a bit. You can have serious stories, no one's got anything against that, but don't forget the comedy as well. Don't just have tragedy all the time. So my final thoughts on Waterloo Road Series 11. Was the revival what I was hoping for? Well, to be honest, no. I think if you're reviving a TV show, and especially a TV show which was cancelled due to extremely poor viewing figures, you need to be on your A game. I was expecting the quality of Series 1, Series 5 or Series 7. And what we got was more akin to Series 8 and Series 9. I would say it's average at best, but there are foundations there. I think as the series went on, it improved a lot. As I got to learn more about these characters, especially the teachers, I started to get attached to them more. I think going forward, they really need to bring that element of fun back into the show, because I feel like Series 11 is the most depressing series to date, and that is a problem. Now, in terms of viewing figures, I don't know. I don't think this series, when you consider how much it was marketed by the BBC, it got more marketing than the old series of Waterloo Road used to get. I don't know if the viewing figures are enough for it to last another couple of years. I'll definitely tune in to watch Series 12. But it was a bit of a mixed bag, in my honest opinion. Now, obviously, this is just my opinion. You know, I'm 22 years old. When I used to watch Waterloo Road, I was 12 years old. So maybe I just can't relate to it as I used to. And that's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, this show is meant for teenagers, for young adults. So if they are enjoying it, then I can't really complain. But for someone who was more of a retro viewer, who enjoyed the original series and tuning into this new one, it just didn't appeal to me. So yeah, just my thoughts on this series as a whole. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. Now, as I said, this is just my opinion. It's not the definitive answer. So if you have watched the new series of Waterloo Road, comment down below what you think. Maybe you enjoyed it. Maybe you can relate to it better than I can. Whatever you think, please be civil, and I will see you in another one. See ya!